Hi, this is John Pettigrew, and you're listening to Talking Through My Hat, a podcast that explores bookish businesses, the fantastic people who create them, and what those people have learned. I'm a hat wearer, a recovering editor, and the creator of Future Proofs, enabling editors and authors to work better online. To find out more, visit wearefutureproofs.com or follow me on Twitter at John_Pettigrew. Welcome to this week's Talking Through My Hat. Today I'm talking with Miral Sattar, CEO and founder of LearnSelfPublishingFast and of Bibliocrunch, an award-winning marketplace that connects authors with vetted editors, designers, marketers and more. She's worked in the media industries for 11 years, including launching several digital initiatives at Time. She's written for and been featured in Time, Forbes, Consumer Reports, CNN and New York Daily News. She's also recently founded another new business, Bearily Bear, selling cuddly toys that read audiobooks to children. So welcome to the podcast, Miral.
Thank you for having me, John. I'm really excited to be here.
That's a lot of businesses to be running. Why did you set up your first business, and why in publishing?
Oh, if you really want to know about my first business was actually selling iPod case covers back in 2010.
Okay.
But that was, I really wanted to go to a conference, and my goal was to sell customized case covers, and I think I sold a few hundred of them, and it paid for the conference and everything.
Oh, well.
So
yeah,
that was my first. And then I had a t-shirt business, but my first publishing business was actually Bibliocrunch, which I started while I was, or I came up with the idea while I was at grad school,
okay,
and also while I was at Time magazine, since they helped pay for my grad school. So I came up with a business because the reason I did the graduate program was to find new revenue streams for magazines and newspapers and just kind of explore what they were.
Okay.
And we took a lot of financial classes. And in 2011, I noticed on Amazon, there are these two big things that happened in April 2011. Will and Kate got married and Osama bin Laden got captured.
Uh-huh.
So if you looked at all the tabloids, they had those three people plastered on every magazine, every newspaper. And then also, if you checked on Amazon, the top books were either about Will and Kate or the capturing of Osama bin Laden. And then when you actually look at those books, they were not really professionally edited. They were not that great. The quality was poor, but they were still doing well because they were topical.
The timing was right for them, yeah.
Yeah. So what I did is I pitched that idea to my bosses at Time, is because we had CNN, we had People, we had Forbes, Fortune, all under, we had about 80 magazines under one umbrella, and we could share resources. So I said, why don't we publish ebooks based on breaking news events? And the way it works at Time is you have to get an executive sponsor, and they help you pitch your idea around. So, but the problem there was at Time Inc., it was kind of like an upside down structure. So we had a lot of people who were interested in the idea, but we had to get approval from 6 or 7 different divisions. So by the time we did our first book, a book on Occupy Wall Street came out. It was already out of the news cycle, and nobody read it. So it was kind of a little late.
So topical news that isn't topical anymore.
Yeah. So, if it's 2 weeks after the news cycle, who cares, right? Nobody really cares. Unless something, there's been an update to the news. So, but what I had been doing was, there weren't any tools back then, and this was in 2011. There weren't any tools to actually help me build the ebooks. So what I was doing is I was creating prototypes. So I thought it would be an amazing idea to build a tool that people could use to write in the clouds and convert their books in the clouds. And I thought it was the best idea in the whole wide world. I showed it to some of my engineering friends, and they're like, wow, this is so cool. You can actually create this and look at these on your Kindle. I was like, yeah. So I went and I launched that tool, and then I showed it to writers, and they said, we would never use this. I like to write on Microsoft Word.
Yeah.
Or why would I write in the clouds? What if I lose my work?
Mm.
So they said, but I do need someone who can convert my books from, does your tool convert PDFs to Word, or does your tool make covers? And I
Yeah.
said, no, but I can kind of help you find somebody who can do that.
Mm.
And so then so I created different categories on the platform to have editors, cover designers, and then realized that that should be the focus of the whole platform, a marketplace where people can post projects versus a tool that actually builds books. And now, actually, if I relaunched a tool, it would probably be very useful now. I guess it was just 8 years too early, but now there's lots of good
Yeah.
there's lots of good tools to convert your book.
So you focus on the marketplace rather than the tools now. That was kind of
Yeah,
started off as a
yeah.
tech toy led thing, and then ended up as your customers told you where to be.
Yes, yes, yes. And now I don't launch anything without surveying first. So back in 2000, so that was the marketplace.
Mm.
And what we found is people would keep asking the same questions over and over
Mm-hmm.
on how can I do this or how can I do that? And part of our subscription is we had a VIP service.
Okay.
So for $120 a year, you could make unlimited phone calls and unlimited emails and get answers to your questions. But the problem with that is people had a lot of
Yeah.
questions. So we compiled the questions and we made them into training videos. And that's kind of and we would just point them to the training videos. Like your VIP subscription gets you access to the training video. And then we kind of made the training videos their own site called Learn Self-Publishing Fast, kind of like the more technical pieces
Yeah.
of being an author that you can't learn anywhere else. Like how to SEO optimize your website, or how to update your metadata, or how to use the WordPress plugins
Yeah.
to the SEO plugins. And a new course that I have coming out in a couple months is how to optimize your book for voice search.
Right. Everyone's talking about voice search these days, aren't they?
Yeah.
So you kind of, having pivoted a little bit, you then split into two almost, because you've got Bibliocrunch, finding other people's skills,
Yeah.
and learning self-publishing fast is upgrade your own skills.
Right.
And you need to do both of those, obviously, if you're going to be successful.
Well, the idea is to split them in. They're being split into two different businesses, and hopefully the marketplace will get acquired. So.
And so you come from, as you said, a techie background into publishing. You're actually starting with the tech as a lead in, and publishing isn't a very techie space generally. Mm-hmm. How have you found that change? I mean, even coming from magazines to books itself is quite a shift.
Well, when I joined Time Magazine at the end of 2006, magazines weren't really a techie place either. So I think one of my first tasks was training authors, basically SEO optimize the Time Magazine site, and then train the journalists on how to write SEO friendly keywords, okay, or how to write SEO friendly titles, and kind of just teaching them that you can't have a headline that says once in a lifetime event when they're talking about a supermoon eclipse, because once in a lifetime event is not searchable, but here's a video that shows the supermoon eclipse in 8 seconds is a lot more searchable and will probably get you to the top of Google results. Yeah. So that's kind of where it was. So I was used to that from Time Magazine. Uh-huh. And because in 2006, you could say the same shift that's happened in books in the last 5 years happened in 2006 for magazines and web. And it's actually a really exciting time to work in an industry when the technical shift hasn't happened yet, because the disruption hasn't completely happened. And, what's going to be user behavior? What are people going to do? It's only a guess. So as long as you're first in the game or first to market, you'll do well.
Yeah. It's that thing of exciting times can be dangerous, but they are nonetheless exciting.
Yeah. Exactly.
So in a sense, we kind of touched on this one. Bibliocrunch started off doing one thing and ended up doing another, and then it's forked into two different things. I mean, you've done quite a number of businesses over over the past few years. Have you found them going where you expected, or have you found yourself often being steered somewhere else?
Well, I actually never expected to do training courses.
Uh-huh.
And now we have our training courses and we license them out to bigger partners.
Okay.
So we have reselling agreements. So people take our training courses and they don't even know that it's Bibliocrunch. So the way Learn Self Publishing Fast. So the way
Mm.
Bibliocrunch was, you were individually approaching groups and organizations and individual authors, which is it's really hard to scale,
Yeah.
and you need lots of money. But with educational content, we formed big alliances.
Right.
So they would resell the courses and they had access to like 100,000 people or 10,000 people.
Yeah.
And that's actually become a much better revenue stream than the marketplace.
Yeah, it's that kind of sell upstream kind of thing. If someone else has an audience, it's much more effective if you can
Yes,
get them to
yes.
buy your stuff. Yeah, and
Or just get them to market it or promote it. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And you've touched on something else there where I said, it's really hard. Bibliocrunch is kind of touching on quite a hard market because not only are you having to sell to authors who are going to be fundamentally your customers, but you're also building a two-sided marketplace where you've got to have authors, but you've also got to have all these suppliers. I mean, how did you forge those relationships? How did you get them to trust you? And how did all that come together?
Well, I worked in the industry. So time is
Hmm.
actually, and through my grad school contacts too, right?
Uh-huh.
Because the program I was in new media. So we had a bunch of people in magazine and book publishing.
Okay.
Plus, Time magazine is kind of a place where I went to start my digital publishing career, but a lot of people there had been there for like 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
So they went on to run other like book publishing.
Hmm.
So I actually, in the beginning, I got their feedback on the platform and who the correct people in their company were that they could introduce me to. And I did the same with
Okay.
grad school too.
Right.
So once you had like Simon and Schuster on your platform or Harvard Business Review on your platform,
Yeah.
then everyone else started coming, saying like, oh, like it's vetted by so and so or it's vetted by so and so. And then I would go to conferences. So we have about 2,200 professionals on the platform now,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have about 46,000 authors.
Okay. And how do how do the publishers fit into that? Because you have the freelance editors and designers and service providers and stuff, and you have the self-publishing authors.
So we do it as a marketplace and a tool and a promotion tools platform, Bibliocrunch. So we have giveaway tools that publishers can use to give away copies of their books.
Okay.
So our giveaway tool, if you tweet the book, you can embed it into your own page. You can tweet the book, get an entry, but then the email gets collected by the publisher and they download all the emails.
Okay, so you've almost got a three-sided marketplace going on there. Where
Yeah.
You've got publishers saying to authors and authors using suppliers and
yeah, just it's like a book creation and marketing.
Yeah,
platform.
that makes sense. And you now find yourself, this was very largely ebooks, obviously. And I mean, do you find yourself going much towards print as well these days?
Most people now want, I think a few years ago, like 2011, there weren't that many tools to easily do print book, but now there's no reason not to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Amazon makes it really easy. Barnes and Noble makes it really easy. Just upload the book onto the platform, and then it's available for sale. So there's no reason not to. So everyone almost does a print and ebook, and now I actually encourage people to do an audiobook as well.
Yeah, it's kind of the march of POD, isn't it? That it's become as easy to make a print book as it was a few years back to make an ebook and get it sold. And you mentioned audio. This is, I mean, your latest business, you're kind of segueing seamlessly into audiobooks as well now.
Yes.
How was it not enough running two businesses?
Well,
or was this just something that was cracking your own need that you needed to sort out?
Well, it was something that I needed that sorted out, and then when other parents saw it, they said, "Oh, how can we get this?" So I think audiobooks are like, if you look at script, Their biggest people who subscribe to Script, the content that they access the most are their audiobooks.
Okay.
Right, versus the books, the PDFs, everything, or documents. And if you look at Amazon Audible,
Yeah.
they have a whole audiobook section, and they have a subscription where you can listen to, I think, 3 per month.
Yeah.
But they have a separate subscription set up just for their romance novels, where you could just subscribe to their romance things, unlimited. So audiobooks are kind of competing. Like, print books were never able to compete as entertainment against Hulu and Netflix, but audiobooks and podcasts are, because the act of listening versus is similar to the act of watching.
Yes, you're listening rather than watching and listening.
Yeah.
And judging by my son watching TV, very frequently listening only.
Yeah.
And watching something else entirely on his phone.
Yes. Yeah. That's the 2-screen. That's the 2-screen experience, or the 3-screen experience if you have a laptop in front of you too. But so now podcasts and audiobooks are kind of poised to compete more against Hulu and Netflix. And people care less about what kind of content it is, as long as it's quality content and it provides entertainment for them. So I have friends who purely listen to just podcasts and audiobooks. So I definitely think like the next big trend is in audiobooks, and it's the most exciting space to be in. And last year, when I was exploring options for my kids, so we actually limit screen time, and every night. So right now my son is 3, my daughter's 5, and every night they would come out of their rooms at bedtime requesting a glass of water, or someone is hungry.
Yeah.
My 2-year-old would say at the time, "I'm hungry, I need a snack." I was like, "You just had dinner." And he's like, "I'm hungry." So, he'll take a little sip of milk. They're delay tactics.
Yeah.
So what I did is I took speakers and I streamed one into my daughter's room, and then I streamed one into my son's room. My son obviously would listen to Wheels on the Bus and nursery rhymes. My daughter would listen to stories or the Nutcracker or whatever she wanted. And I had 2 different devices controlling them. And then one night I walked in and I saw that they were hugging the speakers, and I thought that was very, very sad that they were hugging the speakers.
Yeah.
So that's when I came up with the idea to do like a smart bear, basically, for children.
Audiobooks plus Internet of Cuddly Things.
Yeah. So I took a bunch of stories, I rewrote them for modern times, and now you can listen to them through the Cuddly speaker.
Cool. And I mean, how long has that been kind of going as a business now?
It's launching in May.
Oh, right. So it's not even a business yet.
No, it's not a business yet.
Excellent. That sounds very exciting.
I thoroughly tested the market. So before we launch a new feature, before we launch a new course, I get people to sign up for it first for early access. And if there's enough people, then we actually build a course out of it. Okay. So if there's no demand, then there's no point in launching a course. So sometimes you think something is a really good idea or a really good business, and then you actually test it in a webinar, and there's 400 people on the webinar and only 5 people want it.
Yeah.
Then like, all right, that was a bad idea.
Yeah. So that was one of the, I think the big things that the whole lean movement brought in was this, yes, you should be applying testing to everything you do.
Yeah.
I'm a scientist, so it appealed to me, that kind of hypothesis test kind of stuff. And it's really great when one can do that. So, I mean, how do you actually, as you say, you've got ideas and you test them out, but how do you actually go about doing the business side better? You can test products with people, but you can't test the business other than, actually running it. How do you get better at that? Well,
building a team is critical. In the beginning, I used to do all the coding myself, and then I realized, like, you cannot grow a business and do the coding and do the marketing yourself. So we have a front-end designer, we have a back-end programmer, and we have a marketing person, and then I do everything else.
Okay.
So, and that
sounds
actually,
like a CEO, yeah.
Yeah. So then I work on building the partnerships and then the relationships, and trickling down the tasks, so everyone kind of knows what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. And how do you how do you kind of think of what you should be doing, and I mean, do you have people you go to for advice, mentors, advisors? Do you have a board that you report to? I mean, how do you actually kind of deal with that kind of hard stuff?
So we do a roadmap.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple of advisors and
Okay.
mentors, and I meet with them at the end of every year
Okay.
to report on what the progress is, what the sales have been, and what the growth and future projections are.
Mm-hmm.
And having the roadmap is really, really important because and then having timelines against it.
Yeah.
And it's something that we used to do at time. And it's okay if the roadmap project launches shift, but they should be on the roadmap and they should shift. So, and now before growth was the biggest, it used to be the highest priority, but now revenue is the highest priority. So does it generate revenue? Yes.
Yeah.
Then we'll bump up that feature. So,
yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
like we don't waste time on like bugs, fixing a bug that one person, like it's a low priority that doesn't really impact revenue or making the site easier to use.
Yeah. And it's the, you do reach that point where you have to prioritize your activities, and if it's not, if a thing does, even if the thing is broken, if no one cares, it doesn't. I mean, if a tree falls in the forest, does it fall in? You know, if a bug is never triggered, is it really a bug?
I know it's a P4 instead of a P1.
Yeah. So I mean, you got that kind of accountability structure for yourself, really, almost with the advisor you've actually got. Because the thing with the CEO, of course, is that you tell other people what to do, no one tells you what to do. And I always find it great to have somebody else who's going to go, no, you said you were going to do that thing. What happened to it?
Yeah, so I am accountable to our two advisors who actually invested in the business.
Okay,
so I have to give them. Yeah. So we had investments in about a few years ago, and I am and I do have to present to them, and I am accountable. And we actually had other people who were interested in investing to helping us grow, but we didn't want to take the money because we were able to grow without spending millions of dollars in marketing. I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with growth hacking. So read a lot of growth hacking blogs. Dropbox didn't spend a lot of money initially building their business. They just gave people more space if they invited other people to their product. So that's an example of growth hacking. So growth hacking, we give them free books, or we give them a free course, or give them free webinars, and then we convert people through those.
Okay, so it's what they, the kind of thing they call the viral loop, isn't it? Where you're using your existing users to find you more users,
right?
And that's an effective thing for you, because as you say, it's difficult selling into the self-publishing community because there's so many of them, and that's how you kind of increase your reach there, because they know each other.
Yes.
That's great.
And then, or if they have like a mailing list of like 1,000 people, we have affiliates also for our courses as well. So if you sell to your course, then you get 40% of each course sold. So, and our courses range from $99 to $300. So,
so you're encouraging them to help your marketing to your sales, because they get benefit from it directly, as well as because sometimes virality is the good feeling of showing a good thing to other people.
Right.
But sometimes the more mercenary impulse can be useful to tap into as well.
Yeah.
So you said you have a roadmap that you set for yourself, and you review that externally annually. I mean, I'm guessing you probably look at it internally more often than that. But I mean, how far ahead can you, and do you look? Do you think about the next 5 years or 15 years, or are you kind of fairly short term in your planning?
We do for the full year roadmap, and then we break it down into months and weeks. Right. So, and then in 5 years, we hope to be. It's very general. It's like in 5 years, we hope to be X% more profitable than we were last year. And then we evaluate the numbers, what worked, what didn't. And if we're seeing high growth in one type of course, then we increase our webinars to that. If something isn't performing so well, then we stop spending time on it.
So those 5-year goals are what you use to set the priorities for the roadmap itself, presumably, for, as you say, what things if you have a goal over there, then that helps steer your roadmap and what you're putting on it. Yeah. And do you use your roadmap in strictly product terms, or do do you have kind of business stuff on there as well?
So each thing gets a category, right?
Okay.
It's a product roadmap, and then you get a value on the feature based on the revenue impact, the dev impact, and the marketing impact. So then you assign numbers, and then there's a score. So that's how things move up and down.
Okay, cool. Having done this stuff for a number of years now and done lots of different things, what is it that you personally find hardest about this whole running a business thing?
Oh, the time.
Okay, yeah.
It's you can never check out when you're working for somebody else.
Yeah.
You can go on vacation and have an out of office and not respond. But when you're running your own business, if you're on the beach and you get an email, you have to respond appropriately.
Yeah. Yes, it's the omnipresence of the business. It's something it's hard to appreciate before you do it yourself, quite how much it consumes your brain and your
you're
thinking.
Always thinking about how to grow, who can I meet. Even on vacation, I take business cards with me because I always meet potential authors.
Yeah. No, I guess particularly in that kind of thing, because everyone thinks they're writing a book, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what have you then learned about yourself from this whole process? And do you see yourself the same way you did back when you worked for Time, or how has that changed?
I feel like, the things that I've learned about myself is I didn't know the market as well as I thought I did when I first started. And that research is always super important. And surveys. Yeah. In grad school, they always taught us to never launch a business without surveying your potential audience. And if you can't find 100 people to answer your survey, then then you shouldn't really be starting a business.
Yeah.
And now I think, going forward, Kickstarter and Indiegogo have become so mainstream that you can test out any idea by launching there first. And if you cannot succeed with a Kickstarter, and we tell authors all the time too, is if you need to raise money for professional editing and you cannot raise at least a few $1,000s, then you're not going to be able to market your book. So same with business. Like if you cannot raise a certain amount to cover your costs, then you probably should not be working on it.
Yeah.
Or to launch it again and change your strategy. So back to the thing, what I learned is that be willing to change your mind.
Okay.
And I wasn't always willing to change my mind about things. If something wasn't working, I said, it hasn't caught on yet. But now if something's not working, just cut it and move on and try the next thing that's working.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what is it that keeps you coming back to it in the face of, chopping and changing and not knowing and the time?
Well, I think most people who work in publishing don't go into it because they love money.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of my friends from undergrad went to where the money was. And it's in New York, so it's finance. Yeah. But finance is not something I'm interested in. I've always been passionate about books. I love reading. I love discovering new books. I love teaching my children about the different kinds of books. So I think it's just passion for books and reading. And also the future of books and the future of reading or listening. And I think audio is actually one of the most exciting spaces to be in right now.
Excellent. Well, that's a great note to end. Thanks very much for your time, Miral.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
This was Talking Through My Hat, a podcast by John Pettigrew, founder of We Are Futureproofs. Please let me know your thoughts by leaving a review at Apple Podcasts or by commenting on the website, myhat.wearefutureproofs.com. You can subscribe to this channel at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Our theme music is from hooksounds.com.